Today I'm going to be reseeding and starting my Iharvests, both of them. I got these at probably about a year apart, and one has the black caps on the lights and one has white caps on the lights. That was just a small change that they made. And they also came out with new net cups, and these are the white net cups. Now I have the old black ones, and the old black ones have a little clip on them, and these clip into the unit. So to stay with the color coordination, I'm going to be doing the white with the white and the black with the black. Did I do that right? Yes. Remember which one is which. I'm going to be doing all of my lettuces in one unit and my kale in the other. You know, a lot of you have loved all of the kale that I have done, so we're going to go ahead and do that again. Couple of different little tips to start with. If you happen to purchase an Iharvest, they come with what is called a rapid rooter. That is for right now. I don't know if they're going to change that with the kit at another time. This is a peat moss base sponge, and it has a little hole in the top to actually put your seeds. I absolutely love it. It is one of my favorite things to use. I like it versus the Rockwell because it doesn't get as much algae buildup to it, but I do use covers, which I'll show you in a little bit, and the new cups come with these different covers. But I have also purchased something I'm going to try for the first time called Grow, and they are pretty much identical. Now I have noticed that they're a little more crumbly. They kind of fall apart a little bit more. We're going to start with the white, and we're just going to plant the white kit first. And what I'm going to do is take these growing medias and I'm going to put them in water. Now, one thing you can do with these peat moss base growing medias is keep them in the refrigerator or keep them in the freezer. You don't know exactly how clean or what the manufacturing setup is for these products, and there could be bug larvae in them. I honestly have never had a problem or seen anything with this type of sponge, but again, this is a new brand for me. So if you're keeping them in the refrigerator or in the freezer, you're gonna wanna let them just sit out and come to room temperature. I am just squeezing these like a sponge. You can already see the color of the water is changing dramatically. Now this is one of those things that if you don't do this ahead of time and you put all brand new fresh water in your tank and you're like, why does it look so disgusting? I haven't even added any nutrients to it yet. This is why. I'm just gonna go ahead and squeeze the excess water out of them. Don't be afraid of these. Just like a sponge, they're not gonna totally disintegrate in your hands. They will hold their shape. Always make sure you have a little towel on hand and another towel for your hands because you're gonna be dealing with the seeds. You wanna make sure your hands are nice and dry so the seeds are not sticking to you. Have your seeds laid out and planned out of what you want to do. We're going to start with the kale. I'm going to do an entire unit this way. I'm going to do an entire unit of the kale because I love how it looks. And we make a lot of kale chips. I think that's a funny question. A lot of you send me and say, what do you do with all the kale? I'm going to pour the seeds into my hand, so I have a little group of them. What I'm gonna do with the kale is only do 2 seeds per pod. Don't do more than 2. If both germinate and you end up with 2, you can go ahead and thin it down to 1. We wanna make sure that we're getting something in every single one. If for some reason one doesn't end up germinating and you have 2 in another one, go ahead and thin this one to 1 and transplant it to the one that didn't work. That way you'll end up with a full unit. Because these seeds are pretty small, I'm gonna grab 2 with my tweezers and we're just gonna drop them right in. Then I'm gonna show you another little trick that I have learned along the way. When seeds are planted outside, or if you look on the back of the packet, it will tell you to plant them maybe a 1/2 inch down under soil, 3/4 of an inch, an inch, depending on what the seed is. And then it's getting like that darkness, what they call a blackout. So when you're doing a hydroponic tower system like this, there's really no blackout because you're gonna kick your lights on right away. But what my little trick is, kind of hold your growing media with your one finger and take your tweezers and grab a chunk right off and put it into the center. Just lightly drop it in there. You're covering that hole very, very lightly. It is acting as if it is the cover of the soil. You don't have to pack it down there. You don't have to worry about how many inches. As that seed starts to come out and the plant starts to emerge, it's gonna take that little piece of sponge that we just put there and it's just gonna push it off to the side. It's gonna fall off. You might see them, you can grab them later. This way it's encouraging it to think that it's underground, it's dark, and you have a natural blackout until that plant is going to find the light. Now you can start your seeds in seed starter trays with heat mats and lights and do all that stuff outside of a system. I pretty much never do that. I'm always gonna start right in the system. It seems like the absolute easiest thing to me. I'm gonna go ahead so I don't get everything mixed up, and I'm gonna put these right in my system. It is 6 across on an Iharvest. So if you want to do certain rows, just do the 6 at a time, move down to your next row. And if I didn't say this already, this is the dwarf variety, and it is the blue curled variety. And if some of your sponges have like little tears or anything in them where they're kind of broken apart just a little bit, it's totally fine. Oh, look at how dark this is getting. This is one reason why you don't want this to be a part of your tank. So never take these and just stick them right in. Now there's a ton of different varieties of these. There's different things that you can do for DIY if you don't want to purchase the actual peat moss base. In the outside garden right now, I am trying to grow loofah. I am just going to experiment. I'm gonna grow loofah, and once it dries out, if you know what a loofah brush or a scrubber looks like, I'm gonna take those and cut them up, and I'm gonna try and use them as a growing media. Because the best thing would be, can I grow my own sponge or media out in the garden and then use it in the inside garden and then grow more next year and use them and grow? I mean, that would be the best circle of life, right? To just, and not to be reliant on having to purchase these all the time. But if you're like me, I absolutely love them. And whenever they go on sale, I usually get them on Amazon. I'll buy like 2 or 3 bags at a time. And because I am putting them in the refrigerator or the freezer, they're gonna last forever. Let's go ahead and move on to the lettuces for just a minute, and then off camera I will finish planting all the rest of these. So in staying with the black lights versus the white light version of the Iharvest, I'm now going to switch to the black cups. And if you can grab one of these from a local farm store or again on Amazon, I actually use these now to fill the tanks. They're very bendy baskets and they have a mark on the inside. This is actually a 3-gallon. So I know if I fill it to 2-gallon, when I pick it up and bend it, it's not going to overflow. And then I can use this as a pour spout, and it makes filling these tanks much easier. Now let's talk about that water really quick while I do this. When you put your water in, don't worry about adding your nutrients day 1. Now when those seed leaves are coming out, they are actually getting all the nutrients they need, oops, I dropped one, from the seed, and they don't need nutrients. Once the true leaf, which is what I like to say is leaf 4, 5, 6, when those start to come out and they actually look like what your plant is gonna look like, they actually have like the little curls on them for your kale, or it's starting to look like your lettuces, those are your true leaves, and those are gonna need the nutrients. So you don't have to worry about nutrients right now. But I do like to test my water as I'm doing this, because I actually do adjust my pH right away. So I'm gonna be doing chives and a whole bunch of different lettuces. My water is a little bit pH high, it's a little pH heavy. And we can debate water if you'd like. Go ahead and leave comments down below. I actually have a well, so we use well water because we live out in the middle of the woods. and we do have a water softener. But every time I do this, I've either used well water with or without the softener, and I've never had a problem. I know a lot of people use all kinds of RO waters, reverse osmosis waters. They use bottled water, they use filtered water, whatever your choice. You're gonna have to make that decision for yourself. But I'm telling you, if you have well water or just city water out of the sink, you can totally adjust it with your nutrients and your pH levels. I'm gonna go ahead and pop in my chives. Now, I highly recommend when you're doing this that we journal. It seems silly, but if you are brand new to this and this is a new experience for you, I don't want you to forget the date that you've put the seed in, what your starting pH levels are, and most importantly, where we planted things. With the journaling, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Just grab yourself a notepad, piece of paper, pencil, whatever, and write down today's date that you're putting in and what you're planting and maybe where, and then test your pH. If you don't want to use a piece of paper and a pencil, I of course have this that I wrote. It's called my hydroponic journal. This is available on Amazon. This is what I like to use. I created it specifically for people who are using these types of systems. It has a planting grid right on there, a place to put the dates, and these circles are what my unit is gonna look like. If you're using a tabletop unit, you can just square out if you need 6 holes, or if you have 2 that are narrow, you can do it that way. I'm going to write the chives on my outside ones. You can also log in this journal what type of seeds you're using. These seeds are actually now from Epic Gardening. Love Epic Gardening, one of my favorite channels. I'm gonna do some baby romaine. This water gets more and more disgusting. With lettuces, I don't worry about the seeds. Lettuces are good when they're packed in. They don't overcrowd each other. I've never had a problem with it. I don't feel like I need to thin them. Now, I'm not putting 10 seeds in each one, but if I'm getting 3 or 4 or 5, it's gonna be fine. And I can just grab a clump of them because they're these really thin, skinny seeds, or throw them all over the floor. If you're a user of the Iharvest, or if you're thinking about purchasing one, in between the very bottom row and where the water flows down into the tank, there is a piece of mesh, and that is for noise reduction. I chose not to use that mesh anymore. I don't mind the noise. I like it, and once your plants get so full, it's just this really nice rainfall anyway, and then cleaning it out, the roots are just laying in there. They're not attached to anything. They're not wound and woven into any type of a noise buffer mesh, and it's really easy to clean out. So I choose not to use that mesh. So that's another little tip of something I've been trying. I still absolutely love the Iharvest. Obviously I have other units, and I don't ever discredit. I will always be honest and tell you the positives and the negatives of the different units. I think if you ever choose to want to do a DIY, absolutely go for it. With the Iharvest, there is so much that you can do. There are like the wave makers that I've talked about, or the reflective covers I will show you in a minute. There are all these different things that you can do to it and customize it for how you want it to be. And the light schedule is easy. The pump schedule is easy. They're just plug-in wall timers. I just think there's a lot that you can start with, learn from, and then make it better as you go. Get a big, huge cabinet of accessories like me as you go, and you're growing with the system and you're learning something new every day, which is so fun. All right, now I have to make sure I'm writing down my baby romaines. So I did 2 rows. Baby R, baby. I don't know, do you guys sing when you're writing? Baby R, baby romaine. Okay. I am going to go ahead and plant the rest of these, and then we're gonna together get the light and the pump timers set back to what I want them to be. And then all you have to do is just wait 55 to 60 days until maturity. Make sure you're reading the back of your packets. I see that a lot on different Facebook groups. People will ask, is this ready to harvest? I don't know. Is it 55 to 60 days? Don't ignore the back of your seed packets. Just watch the plants and pay attention to those packets. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna get these things set up and then we will talk about the water and getting the lights on schedule. I wanna point out the difference between this Via Grow Super Plugs and the actual Rapid Rooter brand. I said that these were more crumbly, and they definitely are. Look at this. This is how much I got out from rinsing them early. That would be in your tank, or it would have to go through that filter basket. So definitely, if you're gonna be using this brand, make sure you are rinsing them well. Even with the Rapid Rooters, quite honestly, you're gonna wanna rinse those too. Before I go ahead and kick these on, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing with my timers. I actually have my lights and my pumps on both units plugged into one timer. That's why I have a different set, because this is from the second Iharvest that I'm not using at this time. So what I got was a plug that goes in here that has a square plug that has other plug adapters, basically. So I have both of my lights on this one and both of my water pumps on this one. There is a little arrow on the timer, and that is the actual time of day. I don't pay attention to that. I don't care. Because we do lose power here, or we have power surges or daylight savings time, then you're messing with this, and I'd rather just ignore it. So I just push those pins down to give me 15, 16 hours, whatever you choose, and I plug it in. Then what I'm gonna do right now when I go to kick it on is I'm gonna reach behind my cabinet and I'm just gonna feel for this, and I just take it and I spin it until they click on. And once they're on, then that 16 hours is gonna start. You wanna be lazy on this one like me, I'm gonna go ahead and kick them on right now. But then this evening, if I want them to go off at say 8 p.m., I'm gonna slide my hand back under there and I'm just gonna spin it until it clicks again and it's off. And then once it's off, it's set for the time. I don't have to worry about the actual physical time on that. This one has all of these little pins. You can see all the way around it. So again, the arrow for the time, it doesn't matter. We just want it to run 15 minutes on and 45 minutes off, which is the best recommended for plants. But what I have found over doing this for, I guess, 2 years now, is I kind of like 15 minutes on and an hour off. But obviously that's going to time-wise not line up, because it's not gonna be a perfect 24-hour period. As soon as I reach behind here and flip on my power strip, then everything is gonna kick on. If I wanna make sure that the pumps are working like right away and I don't wanna wait until it hits that next pin, I can just go ahead and spin it a little bit until they kick on and just make sure that everything is okay. With your lights, make sure that you are turning on this switch right here with the lights. So if you've turned on your timer and your lights don't come on, make sure that these are turned back on and you're plugged in correctly on the bottom of your light bars. Okay, so I'm gonna do the fun part. I'm gonna lean back there and we're gonna try and kick it on and see if we have power. This is what you get if you are hiding your light bars and everything behind here. Now you know my secret. I have to find on my extension cord or my plug. There it is. Okay. And my pumps are on. Pumps, we're already in a time system. Make sure all the lights are working. See how I have to make sure that these are actually turned on? There we go. And I have another one back here that's off. And that sound. I really have to say, I missed the sound of these, having them off for so long. I apologize, this is a very long video, but I know a lot of you really have been asking again for an Iharvest specific video and how to get them started. I like to just give my tips and tricks. One thing that you'll hear me say a lot if you go back and watch my other videos, and please do all the YouTube things. It helps the channel grow. Give a thumbs up on the video if you like it. Go ahead and share the video if you think it has value. Subscribe to the channel and become a part of the lettuce head community. There's so much more to come. Thank you very much for the YouTube things. These are reflective covers, and what I do with these is put them right over top of the growing media, the rapid rooter, and I'm just gonna set them in there. And because of the little hole the plant is gonna grow through, they are split a little bit if they need to go around it. Now, the fun part is I'm put the kale in all of the new white baskets, which are very heavy duty, by the way. And they come with this little keyhole cover. So I'm gonna use these for the first time and see how they work versus the reflective cover. I'm happy that I did these baskets, ended up for the kale, because they are locked in very well, much better than the older version. But I'm gonna be curious as to this little keyhole, because depending on the type of kale you're growing, the base of your kale can get very, very big. So I'll be interested to see as these don't flex and the reflective covers do flex. If for some reason my kale starts getting too big for these, I might pop them off and switch the reflective covers, but we will give them a try. And over the next couple days, I will be working on refilling all of the tabletop units and getting those going, and we're gonna have some beautiful lush greens inside, and I'll be continuing to do the garden outside, and we will give you updates on all of that as well. I'll see you on the next video.